Alright. I am going to get back to work. Alright, let's see. Let's start doing this. Alright, so I need to get stats hooked up here. And I've got the whole backend for stats running. So, what I'm going to want is to start reporting these stats to our backend systems. So I need to get all my stuff ready to rock and roll here. Excellent. All right. So let's work on there. Let's get our database going. Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to report stats when we go to the post-game screen. So what I need to do is... Where are we actually already doing this? Are we already reporting stuff? Let's just take a look. So we have telemetry details. We've got specific events, login, logout, session start, game end event. Let's see what we got there. Okay, so that's the game end event for a game mode. Well, that doesn't mean a game is actually over. That's just a... We need this match end event is what we need. So it's on game state changed. Do we even use any of this crap anymore? Probably not. Well, I don't make a new thing. So where is the right place for the report? I think it's inside of our game mode. Our game mode should report our stats, because our game mode is going to be on the server knows all the stats, so that makes sense to me. I mean, the game state also might contain this stuff, but we need to report stats. So, what is this exactly? This will be the stats that a player has earned for the game. So the question is, when do we earn stats? We could do it for every single time we do something, but let me see, where is all this crap? Because we already have stats that we do for like post-game. But it's inside of like the player state. The thing is, the player states... kind of disappear. Because we kind of need player states that left the game as well as players that are still here. So what we'll need to do is create another section of player stats and then clear it out. All right. Or I can forward all of this stuff over and roll it all up because we don't have all the crazy stuff. So I might want to just call the game mode and have it collect stats. Why don't we do that? Why don't we have the game mode collect stats? So let's go to our data, game data, and make a new thing that's got information on it. Okay, so we need match stats. So let's go boot up our match stats and see what kind of stats that we're actually tracking here. Alright, so what we want is, let's also look at the stats RPC call so we know exactly what we need. Where is stats? Alright, so it's going to be report stats, and it's going to be user stat report. Should probably check all this stuff out. Which has an account ID and then these user individual stats. Alright, end of all things is upon us. What will you choose? So we need our stats. So on your F string, let's just do account ID. And we'll do our user individual stats. So that's going to be N32 wins, losses, goals, own goals, ball touches. I'm going to make this separate because it is a separate thing. Alright, so we get our player stats, and what we'll want to do is with our player state, we've got these guys rolling around. So we're going to want to kind of proxy these things in our game mode. So let's just get working on it. Let's just make them. Hello, E10 and Lau. GDC was pretty good. We went down there. It was a very busy week. A lot of... Because I know a lot of people in San Francisco, and a lot of people journey down from all their respective places. It's basically you wake up at 8 in the morning, go to talks all day, then go to dinner and go out to places until like 4 in the morning, and then rinse repeat for pretty much the entire week. So it was a lot of fun. And a lot of the talks, I mean, sometimes the talks aren't super amazing in terms of content. Like, oh, I already know that. But they're good sometimes to just kind of sit there and think about stuff. Epic talks on Twitch. I didn't really see any of those. Which ones specifically were you? Optimization of Fortnite? Yeah. I found a lot of those epic talks were a whole hell of a lot of cheerleading. It was basically like watching a big ad. So I kind of shied away from those. All right. They're archived, yeah. I think some of the epic ones aren't showing up in the vault. I think my favorite talk was the NBA Jam talk. That was pretty cool. I was a fan of that one. Well, it's interesting, even if you know those things, to sit there and go through it because you never know if there's something basic that you already know, but you just didn't do. You know, or maybe you had an assumption like, oh, well, that's not going to help. And they're like, well, it actually helped really a lot. And you're like, oh, maybe I should take another look at that because I might have screwed that up. So let's see how these guys use T-maps. We got it for ads. We got it for in places, appends. Okay, so I guess this T-map already has this method on it, so all we have to do is return in player stats dot find or add account ID. Let's spell account properly. How about that? Yeah, the cool thing about the NBA Jam talk I went to was that the announcer for NBA Jam was actually there at the talk. And it was like 3 people that were actually giving the talk. One of the guys was giving the talk, the other guy was commenting, and then the announcer guy, who's the original announcer from NBA Jam, would interject over them whenever like they had something interesting that they said. Would be like, and then we tried to get the NBA license, but then they rejected us. You know, it was like rejected. It was pretty entertaining. 2 hours, you hit the close button? Shit. That's when you wish you had that, are you sure you want to close this? That you usually are just like, yes, please. Like, get out of me. Get out of here. But then it's actually incredibly necessary. So I'm going to make these guys static just because I can. Well, nah, let's not. Let's just keep them like this. Alright. Let's go fill out our stats. So their question would be, for these stats, we pretty much are going to update all of them, so let's just deal with it. Do we have on victory? No, we don't have on victory, we don't have on defeat. So we're going to need those. I guess we don't need on user. Oh, well, no, we do. You can only stop a render between frames. Well, I haven't used Blender that much, or really at all, so I can't commiserate with you too much. So the issue here would be that sometimes we don't want to report stats that haven't changed, such as we have goals and own goals, but we don't have wins and losses, so why would we report a 0? Well, I can probably dedupe those on the server side, so why don't I actually just go do that? Let's run over to our stats. So I think it's in a report stats. Yeah, okay, so we have the do replace for all the direct sets, and for all the adjustments, we're going to do stuff. So we need to change this to else if, so stat.is adjustment equals true, and stat value does not equal 0 L. Yeah, okay, so that should work there. Do we have any other adjustments here? This is a scoring system. It is the stats system. So basically we'll have stats such as you've gotten 10 wins in the last week, so you're number 1 on the leaderboard, stuff like that. So I am working on the reporting of that. So it's not telemetry, it's like your actual user profile stats. Because we already have user telemetry, but it's a bit more disorganized, and you know, it's telemetry data, so it's all like string value, arbitrary, like query based crap. And this is more, these are real stats that we want to keep in track forever. And I've already gotten the backend database, and there's this huge, massive design around the whole thing. And so we've already got all the stats and intervals and all that crazy stuff. And we've already got all the databases set up. And I need to work on the front-end reporting for it. Yeah, but a little bit more of, we'll have more context for it. So hopefully I can have some asynchronous multiplayer where people can go, ah, man, I'm number 1 this week. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, but that's exactly kind of why we're doing it, is asynchronous multiplayer and all that is actually pretty compelling for a lot of... Well, we don't have assists here. I need assists. Do I not have assists on my enum for this guy? So I've got comparisons. Where's this guy? Win, loss, goals, own goals. I do not have assists. Alright, well, I'll need to add that. Alright, so this will be untouched player, so stats dot player touch. Let me switch on this type. Does code ever age, like wear out over a very long time, erode? I mean, yes and no. As in, usually what changes is the stuff around code, such as the operating system, the people, or it just gets lost, you know, like a... Because a lot of programs, especially older ones, are compiled, and then you need like the original source code, and maybe it's written for, you know... well, that's the very definition of like a machine in computers, is it's all digital, so same inputs in, same inputs out. That's just how it works. So theoretically, yes, code does not age, in that if you had the machine that is running those instructions, they're all very well defined. Code is immortal. Alright, so this is matches played. Actually, we want... You're going to have to finish a match to get this, so I can just remove this on user. And I can say, you have to finish the fucking match. There we go. So we'll just do... Our match is played on our victory or defeat. You have to win or lose. That works for me. Alright, so let's make sure we got that. Yeah, 1 is 1, 0 is 0. Can't theoretically change. Absolutely. Like, that's... When you see glitches in games, it's because of bad programming. It's always bad programming, because the computer does exactly what you tell it to. There's no in between. Provided the code cannot change itself like an operating system. Yeah, the if the code is changing itself, then of course you'll have something else happening. But there are very few programs that actually do stuff like that, mainly because it's not really worth it. But a lot of code relies on counters and timers and all sorts of variables that will eventually run over. So, for instance, you know, like if you have an integer for, like, you know, the number of milliseconds since the start of a program, you'll eventually run out of numbers and roll back over, and stuff might blow the hell up. So I think it's like the military is like 42 days or something is how long a program needs to run without interference to be considered stable. So that's kind of the bar I try to aspire to if I'm writing server code, is that it can run there for 30 or 40 days. So if we're going to report our match stats, we're going to need to build out our message for this guy for all these. Syntax error. Reconcile touch type. Where's this? We need to include our enums. Where is the touch type actually defined? Dashkin player state? This is kind of messy, but whatever. What do you call a non-static member function? Well, none of these are static, so... I think I just had something messed up. Does the military still use Unix and Linux? I have absolutely no clue. I do not know. I believe all those, pretty much all the operating systems have their own purpose. Like if you're running servers, I think you should probably be running Linux. If you're running like a workstation for people, a lot of people use Windows. But I don't know. That'd be something I'd have to think about, because at some point you need to hire people who can actually do jobs, and on the other hand, you also want something that's locked down and secure. Yeah, you're like flying the F-22, and all of a sudden you get like, would you like to update? And you're just like, ah, shit, bogey on my tail, fucking Windows, shit. You know, that's why Porkins crashed when fighting the Death Star. He got Windows updated. He's like, I got a problem here. Shit, snooze, damn it, it's restarting. That's how it goes. Yeah, Windows. So, you know, that's just how it works. Luke, you're turning off your Windows firewall. Are you sure? He switched off automatic updates. Oh my god. He's a genius. But what about all the security definitions? I don't know. I don't know hardly anything about the government. But for all I know about the government, I'm pretty sure you might not want to player touch. Yeah, it's kept up. I wouldn't assume they're doing stuff super amazing. Like, the only thing I know about for programming for that is, like, for the F-35, I believe they switched from using like C# or something like that to using C++ for all of the code, and it just like caused so many bugs and crashes and horrible bullshit that it's like, what are you doing? So I would not assume that they're like doing everything super amazing. Like like just go watch Parks and Recreation. There's your government at work. Don't assume that they're doing the best thing ever. Like when I was at EA, we interviewed a bunch of people. Like, we had the government shut down back in like 2010 or whenever the hell that happened, where it actually shut down for a few weeks. And as part of that, one of the studios that makes simulation games for the military shut down, and so a bunch of those guys were interviewing at EA, and like we interviewed them, and they couldn't program their way out of a wet paper bag. So my experience with people who work with government programming has been just like, are you for real? You've been doing this for how long? Jesus. You're gonna write that one down. So I don't know. I'd be interested to, like, I would assume that it's just a big mix of everything, and you're using the best tool for the job. And then a lot of systems like that the government's going to use, especially military, you're going to have your military contractors that are actually, you know, maintaining and developing and doing that. So And I wouldn't think they'd use their own language or anything like that. Like, no way. I doubt they'd make their own operating system. Basically, like, how would you hire people and train them to get up to speed on that? Like, no, that's gonna take too long. That's like good luck filling that. Good luck filling the recruitment roles with them. All right, so you got to learn, military C or something like that. And you're like, what? It's like, yeah, so we call all functions wibbly wobblies and all variables smackaroos. So get used to the terminology. I don't know. Playing his like grieving donut, Trumpsy. Oh, we had one guy in college. He wrote the not C programming language, like not Nazi, but the the not C programming language, and that was his contribution to society. All right, I need to grab another energy drink. Alright, so we got report match stats. Report match stats is going to have to go through every one of these guys. So I can abuse auto here. So we're going to have our player stats. Like that. Alright. The Nazi. Was his name John Blow? No, it was not. His name was Trevor. He's a cool guy. So I need to package up this request. So basically it's going to be like a stats, report results, result. Let's see, what do I need to include here? This will be our be this guy, and it's in Dashkin service objects. And we're gonna need the. Is this an HTTP call, or is it gonna be TCP? Well, we should be logged in, so it should be a TCP call. I think I got that right. I just want to start it off with that. Okay, so we have this guy. We're gonna make a new one. So we're building our network call that we'll do here. So for our report, we're gonna do set account ID, and this is gonna be the stat.account ID. And then we need to go through every stat and user individual stats and fill it out. So, well, this is kind of annoying. So you have a string. Alright, so we need our context. So I'll do this to start with. Let's see, offline. Fill this out later. Alright, so we're going to need to go through for every single one of these variables and set it up with stuff. Ugh, this is going to be some ugly code here. So it's going to be this use stats, individual user stat, pointer, stat, new object, individual stat. I'll do like stat, set, stat context, stat, set, stat name, stat, set, stat value. Okay, so the stat set is adjustment true. And then we need our array of individual stats. And then this guy needs to go report set stats, stat lines, and then reports. Right, so this stat context is there, but we're going to need the enums for this. So this is going to be the stat names. How is this not anywhere? We should have the enums for this guy, but I'm not seeing them. Did I never actually set this stuff up? Alright, well, I'll just throw these in here. Before I copy paste this 200 million times, let's make sure I have it right. Here, write that down. I need to add autogen for service enums for C++. That needs to happen at some point. Yeah, so we got some good ideas for the game while we were at GDC. User stats report. Yeah, okay, so that needs to be there. T-array, too few arguments. That looks... looks alright, must be something else. But yeah, some good ideas while we were at the conference. Some of it also is that we need to just kind of knuckle down and ship this game. Like, you get working on something for too long and you kind of lose sight of things. And you can start making systems that don't really matter. Like, it's best to just focus on what you need. And you can get lost making extra bullshit that you don't actually need at all. How come this is not... like, we have included the service objects, right? So service objects is here, Dashkin service objects, and we've got uStats, user individual stat. Alright, so it's saying undeclared identifier. Yeah, because it's got a capital S. Alright, that makes sense. No wonder I wasn't seeing it. You guys can always update after a ship. Yes, we can always update after a ship, but you kind of only get one ship window for, you know, you only get one real launch. And then you're kind of, people will play it and hear about it, and then it'll be old news. So how expensive is it to get the servers to run it on? Well, I'm not going to tell you all the costs, but basically the game servers, we've got them running on Linux, and for kind of a performance estimate, I can run kind of on a it'll take one core of a server and about like 500 megabytes of RAM to run one dedicated server for this, which can host 6 people. So you can kind of extrapolate from there and kind of price it out for different places. But you can always get deals and all sorts of other stuff. So we'll just copy paste this thing because we've got a lot of stats and they all are different. So they're all different, so son of a bitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. GPA. Nice, that's ground pound, error, pop up, wall hit, play. Is it not too hard to run a C++ program on a Linux server? It depends on how you write the C++ application. For us, for Unreal, it's very easy to run it on Linux. It was kind of about a day and a half of work to get us all fully ported over to running on a Linux dedicated server, because there's no UI. So it's not hard to do if you do it from the beginning. It's very difficult to do if you don't plan for it, though. So it's one of those things, get it done. If you're going to do it, make sure it works from the beginning, otherwise, and test it throughout, otherwise you're screwed. Okay, so that should roll up. So we have all our stat lines, everything else is set. So that's looking pretty good. All right. Plan for it, right? Yeah. The idea of running Linux servers is Linux servers are real cheap, and also Linux servers perform a lot better. They're cheap because of licenses, and Linux servers perform a much better for network applications because Linux has a much better network stack than Windows does for lots of connections. Linux is more secure as it has much more well-defined security constraints. And the server that's written in Linux for Unreal is very much pared down and is much more efficient at what it does. So, yeah, the network model for Linux allows for many more connections to work properly without having bad things happen. Because, like, if you do your sockets wrong on Windows, kind of how it'll pull the network stuff is it has to iterate over, like, every connection to figure out which one has data to read and crap like that. And if you have 100,000 connections, it all adds up real fast. And I think Linux has a much better model. I'm not sure exactly how it all works under the hood, so I can't speak to that, but I can speak to the performance. It's shitloads better. And also, Linux boxes start up super fast. Windows boxes just, even on Windows Server, you're still running, you try to remote into it and it's still running a whole bunch of graphical bullshit. And you still, like Windows 8 Server, still had that stupid ass Metro interface, even though, it's like a server admin, sysadmin's dealing with it. And it's like, why do I have a tablet, GUI operating system for my command line? This makes no damn sense. Alright, so, player proxy actor, what do we got on that? What version of Linux do we use? When we're running on AWS, we use the latest of Amazon Linux, which is kind of based on a fork of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, like 6. And when we're in Rackspace, we're running on CentOS 7. So pretty tried and true stuff. Nothing fancy.